The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was constructed between 1858 and 1881. It is the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America. The initial work was done by prison laborers, and later skilled stonemasons were brought in from Germany and Ireland. The hospital was designed by the renowned architect Richard Andrews following the Kirkbride plan. This plan called for long rambling wings arranged in a staggered formation to ensure that each of the connecting structures received an abundance of therapeutic sunlight and fresh air. The hospital housed not only the mentally ill, but epileptics, MR patients, alcoholics, tuberculosis patients, and drug addicts. Changes in the treatment of mental illness and the physical deterioration of the facility forced its closure in 1994, moving the staff and patients to the William R. Sharp Hospital in Weston, West Virginia. This building is 1,295 feet long. That means it lacks 25 feet from being a quarter of a mile from that end to that end. It has a full basement with tunnels that go from that basement to the surrounding buildings. It has 3.5 acres of roof, 9 acres of floor space, 921 windows, 906 doors. These walls are 2.5 foot thick. They're all lined with brick. The brick was kilned here on the grounds, and the stone came from the riverbanks of the West Fork. Took them almost 20 years just to complete the building. So if you follow me down from here. Worse, more violent patients were further away from the end of the building. This would have housed those who were having nervous breakdowns, those who might be actually released at some point, so they would be closer to the center of the building. That's why we don't see the heavy bars in this area. Also, we talked about the walls being 2.5 foot thick. You can't get anything through these walls. So all the pipes, all the electricity had to come up through the floor. You see all those bangs and dents on those pipes? That's from patients being upset, taking their frustrations, using their hand, fist, head, whatever was available and hitting those pipes. For those who were really upset were put in, the violent patients were put in here. This door, this one would have had a screen, but when they made it into the office, the screen is off. You can see where the patient was so upset here, he was scratching on the door. They would have put the patient in, thrown these heavy bolts here and here. If he was using his only weapon, which was feces and urine, then this big heavy door could have been closed. Civil War soldiers actually used these 3 wings. This was called Camp Tyler. They put their horses in that big empty basement we were talking about. There was one bed right beside the other, all the way down through here to the end of the hall, full of veterans. Now these folks weren't necessarily mentally ill, just some of them had no place to go, nobody to take care of them. If you watch the ghost hunters, they looked down this hallway, saw something that looked like it had a nightgown on, and it melted through the back of the wall. See anything? They did shock therapy here until 1980. It's only one of the treatments I've heard that actually worked and they still use today. Patients up at Sharp were taken to Chestnut Ridge and they have shock therapy. Had a doctor called Ice Pick Harry. He broke 2 records. One for the most lobotomies done in a day and one for the most lobotomies done in an institution. And he broke both those records here. Despite being designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1990, the hospital has deteriorated to the point where its very survival is threatened. The entire facility and 300 acres were privately purchased in September of 2007 by Joe Jordan for $1.5 million. With the aid of government grants, private donations, fundraising events, and a team of dedicated local volunteers, they are committed to restoring the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum to its former grandeur, thus reviving the local economy and preserving an important piece of American history.